Really good to be here. What I'm going to be talking to you about is really how our induction programme within our organisation has come about over the years and the process it's taken to get there and where we are now and how we're going to move forward with it. I've been working with Alzheimer Scotland now for sort of coming up for 10 years and for a few, and the training sort of manager, and for a few years we had a basic training course that everybody sort of went through, but it wasn't really looking at induction per se. It was a sort of crash course in 2 days of dementia, so you can go out and you know everything. And that really wasn't the right approach. And about 4 years ago we thought we really need to do something. Legislation was coming in, there were changes, and thought it's time to look at our whole staff development programme and see what we can do. And we started with the induction. And our process is sort of, this is what we were looking at, sort of what was needed, what has been developed, how do we use what's been developed, and where are we now? And they're the stages I'm going to go through with you this morning to see what we did. Now we looked at what was needed. We wanted to introduce new staff to the organisation. We felt that it was really important that staff had a feel for who they were working for. And it applies to all staff who come to work for the organisation, whatever their role within that organisation. We looked at introducing staff to Alzheimer Scotland's values, principles and functions, and linking these values into national values, national occupational standards, national care standards. But as an organisation we have our own values as well, so people need to be aware of that. We looked at introducing staff to national care standards and codes of practice. These were all things that came in around about that time, and we thought, how do we address all of these things? So we looked at those as well. How can we incorporate it? Provide a value-based introduction to the practice and working with people. Now this is the most important part of our induction programme, really. It's all about working with people, and that may be working with your colleagues. If you can't work with your colleagues and you can't work with that level of sort of person, how are you going to work with people who have difficulties perhaps, with carers who have anxieties? So unless you get the basic things right and you get your values right, you can't possibly work with people who have difficulties, whatever they may be, and that can be colleagues as well. And provide information about support and expectations and about their own development programme within the organisation and where that fits into it all. So we were faced with this. We were trying to develop an induction programme that incorporated all the things that were sort of buzzing around, which was massive. You've got policies, job descriptions, organisational, strategic planning, all these things. How did we fit them in? And we put together work and we piloted the work we were doing for a year. We looked at what we wanted. The topics we had in our induction pack was the organisation. An introduction to the needs of people with dementia. We don't go into details about the medical side. We're talking about social care. We're talking about working with people with dementia and understanding what their needs are from us, not looking at all of the medical side at this stage. They get that later on. We wanted people to be introduced to the client group they were working with and look at that person as an individual, not as somebody that had a label with dementia attached to it. And introduction to the needs of carers. There are a huge volume of carers out there who are so desperate for help that they are a major part of the values within our organisation, that we care for people with dementia and their carers. And their own personal development. How can we help that individual coming to work for us through different stages? The working with people, the things we've included in the sections within our sort of induction programme is rights and responsibilities. This is all directly linked to care standards, and everything is linked into knowledge evidence for SVQs as well, and the new Health and Social Care Awards that's been adapted for that. Empowerment, achievement and well-being, communication skills, equality, diversity, anti-discriminatory practice, and identity and individuality. And again, that applies for every single person who comes to induction, about our own values, unless we can address our own discriminatory thoughts. We may all say we don't discriminate, we don't make assumptions, but we do. So we have to address how we behave ourselves before we can start working and looking at other people's behaviour and what happens to them. How do we use what's been developed? We've developed an induction package, and the package itself you'll hear a lot more about if you're coming along to the sessions this afternoon, but the package has everything that we need in it, and we're quite a large organisation for the voluntary sector. We have something like 500 staff, and we're dispersed across the whole of Scotland. We have services from Thurso to Stornoway to Dumfries to Borders to Aberdeen. So we cover the whole country, and as a training department, how do we meet the needs of the people that are so diverse? And we developed the package and we piloted it, and it went quite well. And we thought, well, really we need to enable this package to be used with some versatility. So we wanted our service managers as well in the 47 services to be involved in this induction. So the pack has eventually been developed as a training pack for them as well as an induction pack for new people. So we developed workbooks, and we've got an induction workbook that the person takes away with them following their 2-day induction programme and works through that over a 3 to 6 month period. And it's the workbook that's linked into the knowledge evidence for SVQs. So anybody who comes to induction has the workbook, even if they're not doing an SVQ just now, they can use it later, or they have that knowledge evidence. We have a workbook we give them on food hygiene, which covers the Food Standard Agency requirements for our staff, majority of whom are home support or daycare service staff. And health and safety workbook that covers all of the things we've talked about or has been mentioned today about health and safety. And we deliver local training with the support from the training team, so that all our services can use this pack, and we provide the sort of management of the training for them. We send out the information and the packages and take some of the stress away from them, but they deliver the pack. The pack in itself, and the communication section in particular, is developed around about Maslow's hierarchy of needs because it seemed the most appropriate in the people that we're working with. It's also a requirement if you're going on to do SVQs or further study that you need some theories, so it introduces people to theories, looking at how easy it is to provide the physiological needs of people, but how can we as an organisation build on that and go even further. And the last section of this was added after we'd done all that, and I was really delighted when the Preparing for Practice came through to see, when I looked at the 6 sections, we seemed to be meeting most of what we were asked. We also have guidelines for new service managers and checklists and guidelines for the support workers when they go out to their services. The programme takes 2 days, but that can be split up into any of the sections. Some of our services use little sections of the workbook, maybe after a team meeting or when they can get people together. Because with a diverse workforce, especially when we look at some of our areas, the Highlands and Grampian, which are very large, we sometimes only have a turnover of 2 staff a year in the Highlands, whereas if we look at the Central Belt, it's massive. So people can do it on an individual basis or however they want to use it. Our final move, which isn't on this slide yet, is that we've currently got SQA endorsement for the pack, and it's going through the evaluation stage at the moment. We are also marketing the pack to care homes, and our rationale for doing that is it's difficult to get funding, as Noni was saying, for the people who really need qualifications and things like that. So to try and bring in some assistance to progress with what we're doing. And it's mainly for care homes because they come under the phase 2 criteria from the SSSC for qualifications criteria, and because it might assist them in that. And also to share what we've done with other people, because it seems to be working reasonably well internally. We also have a full staff training and development booklet that all staff get, and there's samples of that that you can see this afternoon. And thank you.